1994. Yep, I'm back in the UK, desperately looking for work. London really, how do I put it, really sucked 2 years ago. Recession, you see. So I upped sticks to South Africa. Biggest story around. I worked for ABC News and freelanced for the BBC World Service. In the UK, something's caught my attention. A newspaper is recruiting for something called video journalism. It's an export from the US.
When the advertisement for video journalist appears, 3,000 young hopefuls apply. 30 are chosen. The birth of a TV station starts as 30 VJs report for duty with 16 weeks to go before transmission day. They come from different backgrounds: researchers, newspapers, magazines, secretaries.
Video journalism was sold to me as a way of being a one-man band, multi-skilled, so you actually came up with the story, you go and film the story, you come back and you put the story together and it goes on air. And that was how we started doing it, but I think now it's kind of changed and transformed. So people now, when they think of video journalism, they tend to think more of a person who is more perhaps technical than creative, and they will go and do the story, but they won't necessarily do it all the way from start to finish. There'll be other people involved in the process.
Channel 1 made my career such as it is. I think that there was a perception by a lot of people that people who there was a sprinkling of weird dust if you'd been at Channel 1, which was people were both suspicious of you and thought that you could do something that no one else could do, or very few people could do, and thought you had this kind of mastery of the dark arts of television on the cheap, which was what everyone was desperately trying to do as it happened at the kind of the dawn of a multi-channel era.
Dimitri, now he's become one of the UK's most innovative filmmakers and producers. He set up Raw TV more than a decade ago, which makes Banged Up Abroad. It enjoys cult status amongst global broadcasters. He's won many awards, but a couple of years ago bagged a BAFTA and was shortlisted for an Oscar with this.
What has he done?
This is a very dangerous person.
A story so bizarre, it's hard to believe it's true.
Him.
Trust you in my home, you rascal, you.
There's this kind of blurring of where these hard lines have been between genres. You and I grew up blurring the lines on production roles. I think that the other part of it is how do you distinguish yourself from this mass of content that's out there, whether it's YouTube or other kind of user-generated sites or news or the things that our competitors are doing. How do we make what we produce look better? And again, it's about blurring the lines between different genres. Let's take a grade from a film and put it into this. Let's take a camera that's used online and use it for broadcast. Let's take a footage which shouldn't be in this genre but use it in this genre. Let's like I said before, I don't know that there's anything new under the sun, but I know in the gaps between the familiar, there's often an alchemy which hasn't been seen before.
It's all made possible by this: a lightweight camera, a third of the cost of a conventional TV camera, with pictures just as good. And with the camera, these young people, a fresh human species on the streets of London, to be known forevermore as video journalists. One video journalist will operate the camera, record the sound, and act as the reporter and interviewer when covering the news. A new way of working in British television. This is a system which just could not have happened before the technology of the 1990s. A camera weighing 1 stone that can be toted round London by an 8-stone VJ.
The whole thing about being a video journalist was that you had big close-ups, and therefore that was constantly within your assembling of your story. You know, you couldn't do too far away. You had to make sure that, you know, your person was, you know, close up to vision, or your shots were in vision, which meant that your reporting changed. You actually became this sort of music journalist in many ways. It was all to do with the sexy shot, you know, the shot. You know, that's what drove the story. So, you know, when I assembled my story as a video journalist, I made sure that every element had the killer shot, the money shot. That's what was different. Whereas with reporting, you know, I could just traditional reporting. Sorry, I could fall back on the pan across left to right while I do a voiceover, and that wasn't the case as a video journalist.
Hi, I'm Steve Punter. I think I can claim to be a VJ emeritus, along with...
And I've had some really good gigs in my life, but I would not have missed most of Channel 9 for the Earth. I mean, 3 months. To think that, I mean, now I think in the BBC people get 3 hours maybe training as a video journalist. They used to on their PD courses or whatever they called it, get 3 weeks. We had 3 months, you know, with the grandfather of video journalism.
100 years ago, Gutenberg brought movable type to the West.
Prior BBC, I don't want them. I said, I want people. So I said, Julian, let's just open up a room somewhere and we'll buy a lot of cheap, like, little camera, home video cameras. And I don't know if you remember this, we gave everybody the video camera. We said, go somewhere and tell a story with the camera. That's all I want you to do. No instruction whatsoever. And some people came back with, you know, you could see they're fascinated. They went into places and they shot stuff like this. Other people did eggs. Some people did stand-ups. They were out immediately. I didn't want them at all. But the ones who brought back the most interesting raw video, and we said, don't shoot more than 5 minutes. The ones who were the most aggressive, who were the most creative with the camera, that's who we hired.
I do think that it's always stood me in good stead, because every job I've ever had in television, I've always questioned the basic principles of it, from the accepted principles, you know. Does it have to be done this way? Because that's what we learned, you know, about television news. You know, up until that point, television news was always done one way. And we were encouraged to ask, why? What's actually essential about the story? What needs to be kept in and what can be lost? And I've applied that to other jobs I've had, and you know, and was reasonably successful in my television career. You know, I finished up as the head of interactive at Endemol UK, and went. I mean, but the thing is, I just got bored so quickly with all these jobs.
Top 5 movies of 1995. You think I'm going to tell you what they are now? No way. You're just going to have to tune in and find out.
I'm just hiding behind this tree because these fools are scary, man.
Dan Rowland's backpacking.
Deep problems. Where am I going to change the money? Because we've got a hotel bill to pay. We've only got half the cash.
I think what we should aspire to is all the production qualities that don't intrude into the storytelling, into the 3-minute pieces of video journalist that you see in a Steven Spielberg movie. That's the language that we've hinted at, you know, that we need to find. Do I think that takes very sophisticated, very expensive equipment? No, I don't. I actually think, and I think it's generally being proved now just at the moment, the equipment's not quite there at the moment, but movies can be made on iPhones of an acceptable quality.
As a video journalist, that was also, I was very much on the day stories. There's a story happening, run, take your camera, go do it. But then it sort of changed as I was working as a video journalist, and then I became, because of the stories I was covering, I then started enjoying the creative process and seeing what I could do myself, and being given the opportunity as well. So what we actually did was then start putting together documentaries which we could then film very cheaply, and it didn't involve a lot of other people, so you could experiment with doing that. And then I got into doing documentaries, and then after I left Channel 1 I went on to actually do documentary series, and now I'm back in news. Full circle.
But would you describe all those elements that you described, are those all those part of video journalism?
Yes, very much so. Yeah, because it was all things that I was able to do.
Okay. What do you think, having any prior experience?
Now, I'm Chris Holland. Starting with